Well, the good news is that this council has not inherited any of the funding liability from previous years. You don't have a payment that you're making from something that was bonded 5 years ago. All of that debt has been satisfied up until this point.
Excuse me, Mayor. What we have, and the problem we have, is a $4 million plus unfunded liability. As time goes on and our workforce ages and gets closer to the age when they can retire and will draw their accrued monies, which we knew every year how much was accruing for employee, the fact that they were relatively younger and did retire doesn't mean that we didn't have a crisis coming. That's where we are now. Look at our workforce. Our workforce is getting closer to the day when they can retire. Look at the things which are happening at the state, which are encouraging people, against their will in a lot of cases, to retire earlier than they might have done, and look at the numbers. Those numbers didn't build up overnight, and the fact that we didn't borrow in years past is probably a bad move, because now we do have $4 million, and each year people are going to retire, and as we saw in this year's budget, and as we are going to see, I guarantee it, once we talk to the auditor and start looking at next year's budget, where are we going to find the money to put in the line item each year to come close to covering the percentage of that $4 million, which, by the way, grows each year as people continue to work, that's going to become due each and every year? I mean, Phil, every time we talk about this, you dance around it as if everything was great up till now. It wasn't. This was mishandled for the last 20 years.
Well, Rick,
money should have been put aside regularly. It was no mystery that people are entitled to money and that it was accruing and that it accrued to the point of $4 million. That's what we're looking at now. Is it all going to come due next year? Of course not. But a chunk of it is, and I'd like to know where that money is coming from.
Well, Rick, I don't remember for the last 20 years you standing at the microphone advocating to raise my taxes to put money away for people's retirement. What we have done is we have paid as we've gone. We understand that more people are going to retire, but we don't have a $4 million liability. Not everyone who is in that liability number is eligible to retire next year. So it is something that I know you don't agree with what has been done. I think it's pretty clear up until this point. But once again, we are not at a point where you have a $4 million liability you have to fund this year. It just doesn't exist.
Well, you don't have to fund it this year, but in the budget, there is an unfunded liability that has accrued over many years, and it does exceed $4 million, and that liability is specifically for payouts of people who are going to retire. And as Councilman DeLucre stated, this body knew or should have known that the day was going to come when people retire. And this number kept growing and growing and growing and was never funded to any amount whatsoever until the 2013 budget. So there is an unfunded liability. You've never had to pay it, but you now the bill is due.
Well, Frank, you sat on City Council. I don't remember you saying put more money in the budget to fund for unfunded liability. I think we looked at paying for the
I didn't
cost
say
of
that. I just voted against the budget.